Two-headed right, two heads are better than one-headed right. Two heads are better than one-headed right. Two heads are better than one-headed right. Two heads are better than one.
Hello! Welcome back to our channel. My name is Evelyn.
My name is Monty.
And that's a platypus. And together we are the Two-Headed Writer, a father-daughter writing team based out of Stillwater, Oklahoma.
We get together once a week to have a little chat about our writing journeys. And we are writing a book together. We're writing books separately. Evelyn's going to writing school.
Writing school.
I write grocery lists occasionally. So anyway, we're glad that you're with us on this journey.
This is our 40th episode of Two-Headed Writer.
What? No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
What?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
We've been doing this for nearly a year now, which means we've done a bunch of episodes. So this is a special episode featuring special clips. The first clip is us submitting some queries because that's what we've been doing with Inklings of Ethermore.
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying we're going to submit queries, and the other day, Wednesday this week, we submitted queries, and we sent out 35 queries, and we have already received 4 rejections. So
Yeah.
31 to go.
For context, it's Sunday.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. In 5 days, we've received four rejections.
Yeah, not bad. And people probably aren't working on a Sunday, so, you know.
We should count today.
We shouldn't count today.
We'll probably get one tomorrow.
Yeah, so I've put in that clip. You'll see it. Okay, so after some tribulations, we are finally ready.
The whole morning tribulating.
We are finally ready to submit our first query of the round.
Put your finger on it too. This is like me, Macy and Twyla pressing the big red button.
Yay!
Query received. Email confirmation sent. And query status page generated.
Haha. Alright.
You will receive a reply within 1 month.
That's one query down, and we have like 38 more to do.
Beep boop.
But we have all of our stuff together. So now it's just like putting the emails together and like filling out the form. We spent a lot of our morning figuring out how we're gonna.
We will occasionally run into another piece that somebody wants that she didn't want. We'll have to put that together. But yeah, the further down the list we go, the more we'll have everything just ready to go.
Yay!
Yeah.
What's happening? So is there anything, just real quick, that you have been working on? Give me your highlights, I'll give my highlights, and then we'll get to the special part of the video.
I have been working on my middle grade STEM novel. STEM meaning science, technology, what's the E? Engineering and mathematics, that STEM. It's called Danica Done, and it's not done yet, but I'm working on it. What have you been doing? You've been doing NaNoWriMo.
I've been doing Camp NaNoWriMo this month. My goal is to write 15,000 words by the end of the month, and I just broke 13,000 words yesterday.
You'll make it, no problem.
Yeah, I'm going to make it no problem.
Just we're on past that goal.
So once Camp NaNoWriMo is over, I'm trying to get the draft polished and completed by the end of September. 2 reasons. One, that is when Pitch Wars is, and I'm still considering submitting if I think it's good.
Totally should.
And I also want to give myself a month to work on my outline for my next project so that I can start that when the next NaNoWriMo event starts in November. Because for me, NaNoWriMo is actually really helpful in, even if I don't reach my goals for NaNoWriMo, I do end up with like way more words than I would have ended up with because I'm a competitive human being. Yay!
All right. I have one other thing.
You have one other thing.
I have just joined a critique group
Mm-hmm.
of other writers from SCBWI, Oklahoma. SCBWI is the Society of Book Writers.
Children's book writers.
Society
and
of
illustrators.
Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. It's a mouthful. And we will be having our first meeting tomorrow evening, and so online at 9. It'll be after the stuff we're planning. And I'm looking forward to meeting them. They are all fantasy/science fiction middle grade writers.
So, because this is our special 40th episode, we have a very special guest for the pre-filmed segment that is going to be the rest of this episode. Usually here on Two-Headed Writer, we are a 2-generational headed writing creature, but
But we're about to become a 3-generational, 3-headed writer, and we would like to welcome to the show somebody who's had her own writing journey. Your grandmother, my mother, B.H.B. Harper, Avalon mystery writer.
Hi Grandma! She watches all of these. I hope that you don't hate watching yourself
I hope
in
you
this
enjoy
video.
this. Alright, so here we are, 3 generations of writers in the same family. This is my mom, this is me, this is my daughter, and let's see. These are the 2 books that my mom wrote and got published, and the dedication front here is to her granddaughters, Brittany Marie, and Evelyn Rose. Did you
I knew that. That's why
Yeah.
I wanted to read it. And you were like, maybe not.
Maybe, when you're older, you could read it now.
Yeah.
I
Right.
think you're old
Right.
enough now.
I remember I was like, isn't that so cool? And Brittany was like, meh.
Yeah.
I believe it.
All right. So Evelyn, when she was young, she was influenced by that. She thought it was really cool that you got a book published, and now she's trying to get her own book published.
And she's going about it much more professionally than I did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, well, we wanted to know more about your experience as a published author. I'm learning things already before we started rolling the camera that you had written how many books? 9?
8 or 9.
8 or 9 books. Got 2 of them published. And you started to tell a story on the phone about how you found your agent directory just sitting on a table in the OSU library.
Was in the OSU library for whatever reason, can't recall that now. And on a table, lying there, was a book that dealt with agents, what company they were with, what they were interested in publishing, and what their reading fees were. And I don't, did you guys know about reading fees? Did you encounter them any place? Or
They don't do that anymore.
Yeah, it's
But these books are so old, 19 years old, that they were doing it then.
So this one's 19 years old.
And this is 11 years old. And
Highest
there was
bidder.
a book that I cannot recall.
And then Murder in Moral and Avalon Mystery by B.H.B. Harper.
Yeah, my initials
BHB.
have always amused me, BHBH.
When you found that book, were you had you already written some manuscripts, or was that kind of what got you started?
I had started on the highest bidder. And so I checked that book out and looked through it. All I remember about it, cannot remember the title, all I remember was it was yellow. And it dealt with agents. And the reading fee, well, may have ranged about the cheapest reading fee, which I used, was $100. And so I decided to invest a little money in myself, and I picked out 5 authors that I thought might be interested, and wrote them their checks. And
5 agents? You mean?
Did I say authors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, right, agents.
So you picked out 5 agents and you paid their $100 reading fees.
Yes, that
And
was
did
a
that-
gamble on my part.
So did that get you? Did that get them to read your entire manuscript?
I don't know what they did. I mean, I wouldn't know now, 19 years, well, more like 20 years when you think about
Yeah.
getting the book actually in print. Wasn't sure then, really don't know at all now.
So
Then-
well, I mean, what did they say it was for? Did they get back to you with feedback?
Yes, well, the feedback that I got back from 4 of them was they were not interested. Thanked me, but they were not interested. And
Thanks
one,
for your $100. Not into the book.
but one of them, Jim Meals is his name,
Uh-huh.
took me on as a writer, and I went ahead. I had a devil of a time figuring out a title for this book.
Titles are hard. I don't know what I'm gonna call my book. Every time he sees the working title, he's like, "You need to change that." I'm like, "I don't know what to call it."
Yeah, finally Meals came up with this title because my first title was Dangerous Days, but they said it wasn't really hot enough to could be called Dangerous Days. So I
Mildly
was
risky days.
Anyway, this was published by 5 Star, but I was encouraged, so I kept on writing, and like I said, the book here the next book, cannot remember the name of it, and then this was a sequel to the one that I can't remember the name of, but between this book and this book, Avalon bought 5 Star. So 5 Star was gone, although Jim Meals, because he was my agent, came with me, and we worked on the one whose name I can't think of. The one after this one was The Body in the Basement.
I'm having trouble with the fact that they published the sequel but not the original. What, you don't have any memory of how that came about?
It's not like you need to read the previous one to understand this.
Right,
Right.
it can be a standalone book.
Yes, so
Oh, okay.
it's she's in a new spot.
Just similar.
She just
similar
showed up on the
characters.
scene. She's the newest hire at the English department, according to the jacket.
Yeah, I was in the speech department at OSU, but the heroine and all the rest of them was in the English department. And both disciplines were housed in Morrill Hall.
Still are, I think.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so, maybe.
Right.
I don't know.
So,
I didn't actually tour.
If there's still a speech, I don't know if there's still a speech program there or not.
so did you have any ambition to become an author full time, or were you just doing this kind of as a hobby, or how were you thinking about
Well,
it?
I was along in here. I retired from OSU, had a new computer, so I had a new toy to play with. I had, plenty of time to write. So I did, and thought if this goes someplace, that's nice, and if it doesn't go someplace, that won't be quite so nice, but I can accept that.
And did it bring you fame and fortune?
It brought me a few bucks,
Few
but
bucks.
neither fame nor fortune.
But how satisfying was it though to hold your book in your hand?
I thought it would be a bigger deal somehow than it was. So
Oh, okay.
I have not written for years. I got several rejection letters, and my agent decided to quit being an agent, and I lost my agent. And that just took the steam out, actually. And by this time, I had written 8, at least, possibly 9 books, and I was ready to do something else.
So when your agent quit, he didn't say, well, I'm going to see if any of the other agents at the agency want to take on your work?
He did say that he never recommended other agents. That was just something he didn't do.
I know for a fact, having looked at so many agent bios in the past month, there are lots of agents who are looking for adult mystery novels. Still.
And the fact that you have a book published, a couple books published to your name, doesn't hurt.
So then you'll no longer have a reader's fee, huh?
Yeah, no, I think it's generally, like, actually kind of a warning sign now. Like, if someone's trying to charge you to read your query letter and your however many pages, that is, like, more of a scam than anything.
Okay.
Because I think it's a lot more accessible now because it's very online based. Like, a lot of the agents that we're submitting to today, with what we were doing earlier today, are using this website called Query Manager. And so you can, it's just a form.
They didn't have that kind of stuff back in the olden days.
So I think because it's so specialized, it's easier for them to read through things.
Now it's, you send a query instead of a full manuscript where you just describe the book. And then you're sending it by email so they can respond quickly and easily. And they're going to just look at that query and decide whether they want to read your manuscript or not. And if they decide they want to read your manuscript, they're not going to charge you money for it. But they've got that.
Know they potentially want.
So you've got that system for screening out manuscripts they don't care to look at. But you recently started again to look at the next manuscript after that one.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking toward completing it.
Especially with the virus around, I have been reading so much, I wanted to do something other than read. So I thought, I could drag out one of those and see if I could do, maybe I could turn it into a standalone book. And so you thought of different things I might do with it. And not only has the process changed so much since I was starting out, my computer has changed too, and there are things that I don't know how to do on it, and I think, do I really want to learn how to do this? And no, I'll just go read somebody else's book.
What motivated you 20 years ago to write the 9 books that you wrote?
Because I always thought I wanted to be a writer. That's as a little kid, I'd say, well, what do you want to be when you grow up, Ben? Well, I was going to write books. I was going to be an author.
And did you get a lot of enjoyment out of just sitting there doing the actual writing, or did it?
I enjoyed doing the writing. Sometimes it felt like the story was almost writing itself. It was just coming out of my fingers on its own. I enjoyed doing it. If I hadn't enjoyed doing it, getting no more published than this out of the ones that I wrote, I wouldn't have kept writing if I had been enjoying it.
I wanted to ask you the classic question. Are you a pantser or a planner?
What?
Okay, so when you were writing the books, did you have a period of time where you were like, okay, I'm going to sit down and before I actually write out the chapters, I am going to plan out everything that happens? Or did you just sit down and say, I got an idea, it'll come to me?
That's it.
You were a pantser. You wrote by the seat of your pants.
Oh, okay, that's where that term comes from.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I guess so.
See, that's interesting because these are mystery novels.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. How do you pants a mystery novel?
Oh, well, I don't remember now because it's been too long, but I knew who the murderer was going to be, and I just had to get him there.
Yeah.
Or her there, as the case might be.
I'll have to help you with your computer so you can get back on
Okay.
that horse.
See, I am so old on the computer that I put 2 spaces between sentences.
Yeah, you treat it like a typewriter.
Yes, yes.
You were used to writing on a typewriter. I remember getting, when I went to college, an electric typewriter that had some fancy features, like it would remember the last few things you typed, so you could do an automatic undo, and it had a white ribbon that was the whiteout ribbon, and it would just go chink 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 and just white out the last few words that you
Oh,
typed,
really?
and then you could start again, and it could hold a manuscript in its memory and type it out again, like you could use it like a printer.
I don't know why, because computers exist, but my mind is having a really hard time wrapping itself around that concept.
I know. It's
but
like
not,
a hybrid between a mechanical typewriter and a computer.
That's like the graduation present that we got Beth, which was an electric typewriter, and it would show about, had a little screen, and it would show about 5 lines.
So that sounds more fancy than the one I remember.
It sounds like something out of like a really old sci-fi novel where they were like trying to be like really cutting edge.
Yeah, where they're going to take a typewriter and think, what's this going to be like in the future? And it's like a typewriter.
But it remembers
different. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it was such a weird moment in time where we had computers coming online, but they weren't generally used by the general public yet. So, they had this technology, but everybody knew how to use a typewriter. So it was like how do we sell this thing?
Late
it
80s.
Needs to be familiar to people.
Second half of the 80s,
Yeah.
right, for clarification.
Yeah, mid 80s. Uh-huh.
Yeah, because you graduated high school in 85.
85. Yeah. Do you have any advice for other writers who are on their journeys?
No.
Okay,
Be lucky enough to have somebody in your family who knows about computers.
Well, you told us that you always wanted to be a writer when you were a little girl.
Yeah.
And you had a career teaching at OSU, and then you retired, and you got to be a writer. Did you feel like, I did it?
I did feel that way, but it wasn't, it was more like, oh, I've done that, okay. I mean, and if I did feel a big charge, it wasn't big enough for me to remember it now.
You get a book published, then it's easy to think, well, I'm an author. Anything I write is going to get published. But I keep hearing that that's not the case.
Yes.
But it's not just you. I mean, this happens to lots of authors that
Those
that don't.
funny publishing companies expect books to sell.
Yeah.
There's an author who I follow on Twitter, and I really enjoy her work, and she's tweeting about this manuscript that she's working on right now and how much she really enjoys it. And then at the end of the thread she goes, so if this ever sells like this, and I was like, right, I'm not guaranteed to get to read this, darn. I was like, that sounds so cool, can't wait to read it, and I was like, oh, no. Maybe it won't sell, and I was like, I would read like anything she wrote, right? I would be like, give it, even if I was like, just like, because I've enjoyed everything she's written.
Assuming that we can get you comfortable with the computer, are you excited about finishing another
I would play
manuscript?
around with The Body in the Basement. One thing, that sounds kind of gross. Necrophilia.
I think that's a great way to end this. Okay. Well, good. We'll get you set up on your computer so you can play with the body in your basement.
Okay.
All right.
One of the things that I've been doing, because I had a sack full of them that a sister-in-law brought me, was reading romance novels. And it's the same story over again and again and again. And one of the authors that I've just read, she's written 60 novels. I think she would be bored out of her skull writing the same thing over and over.
All right. Well, thank you for doing this.
You're quite welcome. I enjoyed it.
Good. Now you get to watch yourself when we post this episode.
Okay.
All right, so there you have it. That was our little impromptu interview with BHB Harper, aka mother/grandmother. We had a lot of fun, as you probably could tell, learning some stuff that we didn't necessarily know about how she got her 2 books published. Like 20 years ago, the first one.
Yeah.
And so...
And I've been over to her house since then to help her kind of get going on the manuscript she's working on, so...
Yeah, I talked to her on the phone today, and she mentioned it, that she was...
Was she working on it?
That she had... Anyway, so she
Oh, and
has
she found
been...
another manuscript she wants us to read, by the
Oh.
way. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, she's going to bring it tomorrow, so we'll get to read one that didn't get published yet, and she wants to know our opinion, so...
Right.
Now we're in the Harper Family Critique Group.
So, if you liked this video and you want to keep following us on our writing journey, make sure to click that subscribe button. And also consider ringing the bell icon so you can be notified whenever we upload a video. And leave a comment down below for Grandma, because she was such a good sport.
Oh, yeah.
Letting us stick her in front of the camera.
She'll want to hear from you.
Yeah.
And leave us a nice thumbs up, too.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
We will be back next week with another video, but until then, remember,
Two heads are better than one. And so are